الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
After 9/11, because if you're coming from a Muslim majority country, it somehow is in the air that you have to talk about Islam, and that also all the problems that are related to people that come from those countries or are descendants from people that came from those countries, their problems have to be related to Islam. So if they're failing at school, if they are delinquent, criminals or whatever, even health issues are discussed in the matter of Islam. And me, as somebody who did Islamic studies, is then invited to talk about, school education. And I have to admit, or I'm asked about what's written in the Quran about it. And I say, sorry, but I don't think that helps you. I can't solve your problems by looking at the Quran. And would you do that with Christians, looking into the Bible? Nobody would do that. But with Muslims, they are so much, marked by their religion, by their being other, by being Muslims. And a lot of people were criticizing and were quite frustrated about that especially after 9/11. They got the question so often, and something changed in how they were treated, or for instance how they were invited to discussion rounds, people that were in the media and in the political debates, that said, before 9/11 I was invited as a Turk, or I was invited as a foreigner, but now I'm invited as a Muslim. Nothing changed in my life. I'm still drinking my beer every evening, There was this guy that said this story. I don't know why I'm invited as a Muslim now. I can't speak for Muslims.
Imate u Njemačkoj zadnjih godina interes za islam je porastao nekako od 11. septembra 2001. godine. Nekako, mi smo sami primijetili jednostavno da se iz raznih nivoa društva, bilo je to intelektualni nivo, bili to recimo obični ljudi, nema veze odakle ti ljudi dolazili da se interesiraju za vjeru. Tako da smo mi, vođeni tom idejom, rekli, doduše to je nekako izraslo samo od sebe, tako da je došlo do takozvanih interkulturalnih razmjene iskustava, interkulturalnog druženja i tako dalje, i tako dalje.
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
We think and we see the problem that the German can't accept that the community has changed, the society has changed, and we've seen that we have 3.5 million Muslims in Germany, and then we have a lot of other non-Germans. But if you talk with the German people, then you see that they think that they are a very homogeneous group, but that is not so.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar,
Inače, mi se ne razlikujemo mnogo od Njemaca, jel? I naša djeca, mislim, s ponosom možemo reći da su naša djeca, za razliku od drugih migracionih grupa, jezički, znači, inače integraciono, inače mi smo perfektni što se tiče asimilacije, mi se uklopimo za čas. Znači, naša djeca super govore njemački jezik, problem je što ne govore dobro bosanski jezik, ne govore dobro maternji jezik. Tu imaju problemi sve migracione grupe. To je, počeći, ne znam, od Bošnjaka, Hrvata, Srba i tako dalje, znači sa naših područja, pa Turci, mada kod Turaka je to malo drugačije, pošto ih ima mnogo. Znači, nas ne ima mnogo, imamo problem, hajde da kažem problem identiteta. Šta je identitet jednog čovjeka? Jezik i vjera.
You must know that we have not the same problems like the Bosnian. And also our walking are more different. I will give you an example. A lot of Bosnians are educated in a high level and they are integrated more in this community, and you see that living in the community is not so important for them like the Turkish peoples. Also, you can see that they have a very different area in which they can walk. By us, it is very important that we say, okay, religion walking, we do it. You can pray, and we organized some events for Islamic events, but we educated the children in our mosques, in Quran, in Islam, and at the same time in Turkish, because we educated in our mosques only in Turkish, because we say the language is very important. We are trying to give them the Islamic tradition and the Turkish tradition too. Also, that is, if I speak with my Bosnian friends, I said, why do you do it? Because you must accept it that you want that you live for a long time in Germany, and that your children live in Germany too. Also, why do you try to give him the Turkish language and the Turkish tradition? And we say that is very important for us. I think that is one of the biggest differences between us.
With Turkish people, I think the problem or the fear of being assimilated is as big as for Bosnian people. But for Bosnians, I think partially because they come from a more educational elite in their own country, but also because they look much more European to many Northern Europeans than people that come from Turkey. They just get accepted as being Germans very fast. So here integration and also assimilation really is a possibility. For people that have dark skin and very black hair, assimilation isn't really an option, I have to admit. So at least you will be assimilated, but you might still be discriminated against because of how you look. So you can be fully integrated and never have been to another country. But if you have dark skin, you will always stand out and be asked whether you want to go back and when.
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة.
Maybe we want to educate Islam in the schools like the churches, and then we have heard all times, yes, you can't do it because you have a lot of voices, and we need only one organization for this. And if we get together and say, okay, we are now one organization, then they said you are a NGO, but you are not an Islamic community, because we have in Germany the status of Religionsgemeinschaft. You know it? And Religionsgemeinschaft, that is a religion community, but they must have a special structure and special beliefs. Maybe you see that is an Islamic community, but for the government that is only an organization, NGO, like an NGO. They didn't differentiate between a football club and a mosque.
Glavni problem jeste ovdje u Njemačkoj što recimo zakon, odnosno vlada traži partnera. Tipa partnera, koji ima partner? Katolička crkva, partner protestantska crkva, židovska zajednica. I sad problem je napraviti recimo muslimansku zajednicu. Zašto? Evo zašto, da ovi različite problema. Ahmedije, Alevije, Sunije, Šije, Habešije, bla bla, imate ih, znate. uskladiti to sad sve pod jednim krovom, mada ja kao ekonomista, ja kažem uvijek molim vas napravite jednu analizu i imajte kristalizaciju zajedničkih ciljeva. Ama ljudi molim ako dobijete od države bilo šta para, radite dobre stvari, imate dobro tvornje, nemojte se raspravljati tamo o nekim sitnim stvarima.
When I was talking about that religion became something that is in the center of life, then I mean more by the debate and how the debate changed, and that does not necessarily mean that the people really changed that way, but some did. For some, that focus in the debate really became to a focus in their life. But that, I think that's a minority, but that happened. And somehow, through the whole debate, the possibility to mobilize people on the basis of religion became, and that's what I also call a resource, became stronger for the Islamic organizations. So the Islamic organizations actually gained power, if you want. For a Muslim, it's not appropriate to make a difference between a Bosnian Islam, a European Islam, a Turkish Islam, and an Egyptian Islam, for instance. Because, why? Islam for Muslims is the revelation of God. Something that God sent that is not to be changed. That does not mean that how people live their life and their belief cannot be changed. It has to be changed. There are no Muslims that deny that the way that Muslims live is changing from place to place, from background to background, and it is changing in time.